to his immediate family and us, his extended family, his in-laws, but also to the lowest soldier, to the private and to their families. He was a good provider to us, the family, and also to the families of his soldiers. He saw to it that his soldiers' family were never wanting in food. If we had food, they also had food. And this lasted until the liberation, when we parted ways with his soldiers. They were so faithful to him because they found in Manoy, as I fondly called him, the goodness of Manoy. He was so loved by his soldiers and their families. And when General Santos asked him to protect the then Coronadal Valley, we were transferred to Lagao. There, Manoy extended his family into a wider scope, the whole of General Santos. That time, General Santos was threatened by the Moro bandits. And so, the people, the Christians, looked after Manoy as, I would say, next to God as their protector. Whenever a place is threatened by a bandit, the people run to him and notify. Then they call him Kapitan. They run to seek the protection of Kapitan. And every time they hear that ara na si Kapitan, because most of the people there were Ilonggos, the people have already that courage to face the bandits. Manoy was loved by the people of Coronadal Valley, and this was confirmed when 2 years ago I met a man from Coronadal, now General Santos, and he was telling me about General Santos. So I told him, during the war years, in my early teens, I was just about 11, 12, and 13, 14, when we were there. I said, we stayed in that place during the Japanese occupation. And he said, what's your family name? I told him, now I am Mrs. Usaraga, but before I was Miss Abansenia. And my brother-in-law, Captain Javelosa then, was stationed in Coronadal Valley. And you know what he told me? Colonel Javelosa's name, then Capitan Javelosa, is a legend in Coronadal Valley. And it made me so proud of him, so proud to be his sister-in-law. Manoy was a good provider to his family. He was a good husband, loving, affectionate to his wife, a loving father, and a loving grandfather, and to his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And yet, he is a very deeply religious man. He is God-fearing, and we had that custom of praying every night the rosary and some novenas, and he never failed to pray with us. He was always with us in our prayers. So, Noy, we deeply grieve your passing, but my only consolation, our only consolation is that he'll never abandon you.
Sadaya. Lola Bating is my great-grandfather. I have known him since I was born 11 years ago. Being the first great-grandchild, I was told he was happy to have been able to see his apo sa tuhod. All the more, my mother was his beloved granddaughter, Anna, as he fondly called her. I remember him especially in the ways that he fully gives his love, no matter how small they may seem. Be it by candies, 1 peso coin, or as much as 10 to 20 pesos. He gave because he wanted to, he loved to, and I believed he did it from his heart. And I love him for that, and I know all of us do. Now that he has left us, I shall remember him every time I learn to give fully from my heart. Lola Bating, remember us always and pray for us, so we will be together in heaven. I love you very much, and I know God is taking care of you right now. God bless you.
Would like to call another grandchild, Joanna Zadaya.
I stand here today not knowing where to start. I cannot find the words to express what Lolo Batik is, what he had been, and what he'd always be. I cannot describe the pain I feel of losing someone who has greatly influenced my life and has molded me to become what I am today. I always referred to Lolo Bating as my grandfather with a big heart. He had a big heart for everyone. He was not only generous with whatever material blessings he had, but more so with his time and love. His love had no limits, no boundaries. He had loved so unconditionally. Lolo has left us an emptiness and void in each one of us. On the other hand, we know that he has found eternal peace and happiness up above. Let not Lolo Bating's death be a time of mourning, but a time of healing as well. Healing that starts within ourselves, letting go of concerns, anxieties, earthly desires, earthly attachments, letting go of feelings of anger, hatred, resentments, pride, unforgiveness. What better way to console each other than doing all this? Lolo Bating has inculcated so many good values in each one of us, though he may not be perfect. Let Lolo's death be an end, be not an end, but the beginning. Let not Lolo's death be put in vain by burying together with his body the good values that he has imbibed in us. Let Lolo's legacy live on to be passed on to our children and the future generations. Lola Bating has found peace
and may that same peace remain in our hearts. Lolo. Wherever you are, we miss you very much, and we'll always love you. Your memory will live on forever.
Sometimes they say you can measure the value of true love not by just holding on, but sometimes by letting go, although it's really, really painful. I'd like to call on Julius Bautista, the grandchild.
As I stand here today, this afternoon, I feel very honored and proud to be able to pay tribute to a great, great man, our Lolo Papang. In the homily, Father reminds us that death is powerful because it makes us ponder and reflect on life. Lola Papang's death has such an effect on me that it made me wonder what true greatness is. What is the measure of a great man? And what makes him deserving of the praise and the acclaim that he has achieved? To most of us, greatness is measured by what one has achieved in terms of the respect that has been given to him by his peers. It can even be measured by the monetary wealth that he has accumulated, or even by the fear that we feel if ever we do something wrong or do something to offend him. This afternoon, however, I'd like to share with you something special that I think, as a grandchild of Lolo Papang, that I'm able to feel, and that is not something that is readily obvious. The greatness of a man is measured not only by the big things that man achieves, but I think that the greatness of a man is achieved by the little things that he may take for granted, but to me means everything. When I was a child, I used to go to Cebu and live with Lola Papang for the summer. In the mornings, he would take us out for a walk around Pook, and we would be followed by a trail of his 5 dogs, and we would sort of patrol the grounds and just expose ourselves to the environment. We would feel secure in Lolo Papang's hands. We would feel happy, and we would feel very comforted by his laughter, by the stories that he would tell us of ghosts, of supernatural beings. Lolo Papang would give us money just to make us happy, even though that the amount that he would give would not necessarily fulfill any desires that we would want. Lolo Papang would walk outside of the grounds at Pook, and all the people that we would see would shout his name and hold him in the utmost of glory and respect. These are the fond memories that I have of my Lolo. And upon his death, I feel that these things have really made the person that I am. And I think that I am expressing what my cousins feel at the moment. That Lolo Papang's greatness comes not only from the fact that he was so respected by everyone, but the greatness of Lolo Papang comes from the fact that he always had time to do the little things. He was always there for us whenever we needed him. But most importantly, he was there for us when we would somehow take for granted that he was. And for that, I feel that Lolo was indeed a great, great man. We will forever miss him for those little things. And I don't think that it will ever be the same again.
Somebody so special, I'd like to call on the sister of Tubating. We have Mama Inday, please.
Last night, one of my nieces, told me at the gate there, Tita, you'll be one of the speakers tonight, tomorrow. What? Eulogy. And then at first I said, Milding, I think I cannot do it. I refused her because I could not bear the pain in my heart to see my brother lying down there dead. But then, when I arrived home, I felt guilty and I said, no matter what happened, I will just try my best to talk. Because I know my brother, my only brother who loves me and who loved me, and he was the best brother that I could ever have. I consider him the most generous, loving brother. Mama, when he was very naughty, he always quarreled with me, and then Papa and Mama will say, kneel down, both of you there, and open your arms, until do not stand up until I let you stand up. But then he was very naughty. He used to pinch me, and then I said, Inday, managanta, manago ta. Kay wa na din si Mama, awa din si Papa. But I was too innocent and I was too sincere in my kneeling down. I kept on kneeling and buang tindog ya. Kasali ka lang yapog luhod. Awa na si Papa si Mama. Then I started to stand up. But then I met Mama and Papa on their way. Hoy, mga ba, Lord. Because Papa and Mama was a good disciplinarian, very strict. But then Papa said, ayaw na ang mga bata na unsa ka ba? Ayaw na sila paludha. Ayaw na yung mga sakag may pana. Nga, yun si Papa, tindog. Until we grew up, much love and care from our parents. Then until we have already grown up to the time reached that we had to be educated. And then the dream of Noy Bating, as we used to call him, Manoy Bating, we used to call him that way. It was his dream to be a doctor, to be a doctor. Then Mama said, he used to call Papa Martin, agurang, sige, pa-eskwelahon talang na si Bating sa UP, Manila. And then inside the room, and they were very quiet. I was wondering what did he do to Manoy Bating. Then I peeped through the hall and I saw Papa and Mama doing something here inside of the Bating. I know that in the boarding house where I stayed, Yuyong was there, Pati Chavez was there, and most of our neighbors in Pahina, because I went there as a vacation. Then Bating began to study. Then in college, all of you know that there is ROTC. There he excelled too much in his military subjects and all those, until he was assigned. He was what do you call it? He was called up. He was I cannot do it. he was made a third lieutenant at the time and was assigned to Ilocos Norte as an ROTC commandant. But he didn't stay long there. He only stayed 2 years and he was transferred to Cebu City as a commandant in USP. That was Southern Institute then. He was only a third lieutenant and he was loved by all the members of the faculty and his students. One summer, we took a vacation in the hacienda of our uncle, Tatay Pablo, my father's brother in Nasipit. Then, it was the fiesta then in that barrio where the hacienda of my uncle was. And all the hacienderas were invited to attend there and they had a big chapel, very nice chapel. Señora Doña Consuelo Abanseña, the mother of my sister-in-law, was there, together with her children, Dolores and Victoria. They were, and then they got married, and they had 7 children. First, 3 boys in a row, Ganga, Bachon, Digoy. Then another set of 3 girls in a row, Milding, Cecilia, and Tuya. Then maybe it will start another row of, we do not know, boys or girls. The one that came out was a boy. It was Lalit, the youngest, and she happened to be operated. So her giving birth was stopped. So it ended with Lalit. There were 7 in all. Then working and very disciplinarian. He scolded us, come, wait, we don't, and especially if he saw our admirers, he would not like, so we had to go home. Then I had so many, I can still remember, I had many admirers, but Nuebating would not like them. And he said, Inday, you are too young yet. No, I don't want you to marry early. But I was innocent then. I didn't even understand the sign of love. What is love? Then, when later on, when he was already in Bacolod, later on he retired, and he came back to Cebu, where he was made the Insular Police of Dorano, the security agency. He managed there, and he was placed in the...
To let you go, if I could only hold you, because I want you always. Oh, Manoy, pati, Manoy, I miss you, Manoy. And our brother in the States, we have a brother in the States, Piping.
Lisod kayo ang papel gihatag sa akong mga igsuon sa ako karong hapuna. Ang akong mga igsuon nga lalaki nga mas tigong sa ako. Mga isog kay sila. Macho kay sa tanan nga di sila gusto magpakita ng hilak sila dinhi. Lisod iingon sila nga ako na lang kuno kay babae. Okay lang kung mahilak. When I was trying to think about what I was going to say today, hinungdaman ako nga kanang si Papang. He was a very bold and courageous man. And it amazed me na this was confirmed by the many speeches that were said this afternoon. Somehow we feel that this is distinctly he is straight. He is a very bold and courageous man. He never buckled under pressure. He was always in command. He was always in charge. And this has been the kind of upbringing that has been given to all of us. Isog kaiming tanan. Kaming tanan, strong kaayo. Kung ano ang personality nga, we are always in command, we are always in control. Genetics siguro, and perhaps by the very example that he set, we are indeed a lot of very strong people. But then, I saw that when one is gripped with deep sorrow and grief, emotions blur our minds. And this was exactly what happened to us for the past days. Natingala mi nga, simple kayo nga decisions, isud yun kaayos nga tanan. Then we realize nga, kinahanglan kayo mi og kanang support. We realize nga kanang we have to lean on so many people nga. It was a strange feeling because, as I said, we are isug mi kaayong tanan and we are very always in command. And muna nahitabo nga gamay kayo nga mga desisyon lisod kay sa amo, daghan kaayo kasi kasuhon. We had to do a lot of attend to a lot of things, ang pagpili sa lungon, ang sa park, ang logistics, ang obituary, ang pag-inform sa pamilya. But the biggest thing that struck us was when Sem Park asked us kung sa may atong ibutang sa iyang epitaph. And we were dumbfounded. Kung sa man ito atong ibutang sa iyang epitaph? So niingon mi nga, okay, we started to make deep recollections of what were those things that he valued so much. What were the things that he liked? What were the things that he lived for? What were the things that he really fought for? And so, it's amazing, in fact, while listening to everyone today, that what, in fact, we decided to put there is very consistent with what has been said about him. Ingon mi nga, siguro we will put there a good soldier. Though most of us have not had the experience of his exploits as a soldier, because vivid sa akong recollection when he already retired. But we have been hearing about how good a soldier he was. And in fact, this afternoon, that has been confirmed. Personally, I am now, because of business concern, going to General Santos. And I have met some of the pioneers in General Santos. And when they hear that I am the daughter of Colonel Javelosa, some of them cried. And in fact, recently they said that they wanted to bring him back to General Santos. And also in our recollection, you know, as you grow old, I'm sure a lot of you will confirm this, that we have a lot of frustrations. And particularly for Papang, who's always been used to being in command, who is always used to being in charge. When he felt that his control was already weakening, I'm sure that he had a lot of frustrations. And what would sustain him and what would revive him would be memories of his exploits as a military man. I do remember that when he was in Tahanan village, in our house before, every time he would feel bad, we would play the records, the marches that he liked, and would talk about his adventures. And it would always you would always see a gleam in his eyes, and he would always cherish these memories. And I'm so glad